I'm Eli, and I make games. So for this week's episode of Feedback Friday, the 11th one, I'm going over a game called The Mighty Rune by Wishforge Games. Now, if you don't know about Wishforge Games already, they run an amazing YouTube channel focused on G-developed content, and this is just an old demo. I got this requested, comment be on screen right now, and yeah, so let's just get into it. So, we're going to start with the faults, go to praises, and we'll add my stuff. So, faults. The controls felt icy. Now what I mean by this is it's the acceleration. You didn't slow down fast enough to the point where it just didn't feel good. It felt like you're slipping and sliding everywhere, and I'd fall off the platforms just because I slipped. Also, and there's not much more to that, just work on the controls, not much. Q to talk. Now, it doesn't really, the thing with this is that it doesn't explain the controls, so when I go to talk to people, I know I can talk because of the UI, but I don't know how to. I just kind of press random keys until I figured out Q. And if you're using arrow keys in space, Q is nowhere near, and it just makes it inconvenient. So explaining the controls would be really helpful in making sure that the controls work for all your play styles. And there's probably another button to talk, but I never found it. And it really shows into the main fault of the game currently, and it's that it's just confusing. It doesn't really try to lead you anywhere, and for a demo, that's horrible. You always want the player to know where to go, what to do, because it's a demo. They're trying to get a feel for your game. If they can't experience the full demo, then they're gonna come out of it with a negative experience, and they're not gonna want to get the full game. So, if you do another demo and update it, make sure it's clear, and I'm assuming this would be at the beginning of the actual game, so making it as clear as possible as a good tutorial in explaining things. That's essential. You really need to dig down and explain stuff, because otherwise it's just not going to happen. And also, it's just confusing to the point where I didn't get past. There's like this cave I went down, there's a chest, and it said, oh, you need a key, but I had no clue where the keys were. I couldn't find them. Another fault I found is that the hitboxes were kind of weird. It's because of this perspective you're dealing with. You try to make it more realistic to that, but it just doesn't work. Just make the hitboxes full or near full, because then it's just gonna feel better and it's just gonna work better. And finding that in between to where it looks good but it also feels good is very important. And that's all my faults. This game was pretty iffy, but it is just a demo, and it seems pretty old based off of how he's working on his Square Emoji games. But nonetheless, if you keep working on this, really try and update those things I generally said. And now it's time for the fun fact of the day. So, if you're new to this, I'll explain. So basically, in almost every video, I add a section where I tell you a neat tidbit or, fun fact. And if this information that you just heard was new to you, you're probably new, because it is new. So click subscribe, I guess. Yeah? So, anyways, this time the fun fact is about the Cold War. The Cold War started in 1947 when basically United States and Russia, Soviet Union at the time, were having a very sophisticated argument over which is better, capitalism or communism. And if your definition of sophisticated is trying to see who can get more bombs that could easily kill an eighth of the population, aka nukes, then that information is correct. Then basically a bunch of stuff happens and America and Russia stare at each other, and then the Soviet Union breaks, meaning the Soviet Union can't stare at America anymore because it doesn't exist. And then it just kind of ends. Korean. There was a bunch of other kind of Korean War stuff that they did because, you know, one supported North Korea, one supported South Korea. Boom, explosions, dead people, and yeah. That's just kind of like a brief overview of the Cold War because it's weird and crazy, and it's really just a big old staring contest, but nonetheless. And that was a fun fact of the day. Now back to your scheduled video. Or maybe you were waiting for this, so it's really you scheduled for this. Anyways, praises. The art was good. I really liked it. It was really good. You really emphasized the visuals to the point where I've seen you've put it out in an asset pack, and they're just good. I like them. The visual style is nice. This perspective is very nice, and the colors, they really blend well together, and they add to the feeling of the game. And on that note, the lighting also is really good. It's subtle in some places and obvious in others, but the way the lighting blends throughout, it really helps add to the atmosphere and feeling of the game, emphasizing your emphasis on graphic design. And it's really your graphics. You got the graphics good. But you know what else you got good? You got the audio. The ambience of this game was awesome. The sound effects were awesome. All this game really needs is some music. Now, not all games need and have to have music, but adding some music, like think Breath of the Wild, where it's just got some music in the background, but it's mainly ambient. I think that would work well with this game, but because of the kind of feelings it's portraying, adding some sort of music that plays into the ambience. So you have the wind blowing, but you still have a beat that gets you going and makes you feel feelings, because if there's one way to really emphasize a feeling in a game, it's the audio design, specifically the music. Ambience, of course, is going to help add to a calm sereneness, but only ambience is going to emphasize calm and sereneness, which I can already tell this game's not going to entirely be. But that said, those are my praises, those are my faults, those are my thoughts on your game. So make sure check out Wishforge games. I'll have links in the description. They make awesome G-developed tutorials. And yeah, check out my game. Cool, it's a good idea. See, you check out my games, you subscribe, and then I make more stuff. I don't know. You get rewards like living and playing fun games that are kind of fun. Anyways, yeah, that was a video. I hope you liked that. And if you didn't, too bad. I don't care. So yeah, if you like. If you don't. And subscribe. Peace.